let's do
Yeah.
the serious part of the show.
Okay, let's try to be serious. All right. So this is about antibody testing and how we even started in wanting to discuss this because we've talked a lot about the vaccine. Nicholas and I have both gotten 2 shots, Pfizer shots at the VA. Everything went really well. But then I got the bright idea that I needed to have an antibody test. So we're just going to go through it about why you should or should not have an antibody test and what that's all about. And it's quite detailed, so stand by. So I truly appreciate it when anybody at the VA, any authority gives me clarity on a subject, right? So that I can mention it on the show. Because the entire purpose of this show is to give correct information, okay? So as a result, someone at the VA took the time to send me an email to give me clarity, not only about the VA, but any kind of antibody testing anywhere and how that kind of works. Anywhere, period.
Yes. And we made a comment on the Voice of the Veteran show about antibody testing, and Gayle received a comment back from a VA employee, someone who she says is an authority and who knows what he's talking about. She didn't have permission to use his name, but she says that it's good intel.
It is.
And that we can trust it as it comes from a quality source at the VA hospital.
That's right. And so we're going to quote the following information as our own firsthand experience because it was directed to me about antibody testing. Then Nicholas, I'm going to try and Nicholas and I are going to try to pick this apart line by line, because neither one of us are dummies. We both have postgraduate degrees. And so but it's not medicine, so here we go.
We have a quote, and the quote is from the email from Gayle to Gayle. And it says, by the way, the primary antibody tests we use for COVID might not show initial reactivity to the vaccine. Okay, that seems clear, right? But we're like, so Gayle, you wanted the antibody test because we talked about this to make sure that the vaccine was actually working, right?
Well, yeah, because I had asked last year for a titer test for measles. And I thought, well, I'll just get one of those to make sure that that new mRNA, that messenger RNA stuff is really kicked in. But that's not quite how it works.
Right. This is interesting. Keep going, Gayle.
Okay, so the vaccine, this is a quote, the vaccine uses spike protein to make antibodies. Okay, yes, I knew that because they've talked about it, on TV quite a bit. And those are those, like I said, those sticky out parts right there. Those are spike proteins right there, okay? And that's why they call it the coronavirus, because it's like a crown with all these things sticking out, And these different spike proteins, there's all kinds of them. There's K spikes and M spikes and P spikes and S1 and S2 spikes. And, so do I dare say that I understand that up to that point? Are you getting this? The different kinds of spike proteins?
I'm sorry, I lost my place. But no, yes. Yes. That's clear. I never can hear too much. So our quote here's a little more from that quote. Those who get the virus also make antibodies to the virus capsule. So people who get the coronavirus are infected with the virus, make antibodies, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same way we do with any vaccine. So we make antibodies, which is a defense to that specific virus.
Oh my God. Okay, hold up. Let's just define for the audience what a virus capsule even is. Okay. And then we'll continue on. So in my email from Tony Fauci, but you know what I'm saying, from the authority, he refers to a virus capsule. And this is genetic material, okay, that is surrounded by a capsule made from a specialized protein, okay? And that's why flu shots are different every year. Every year it's different because it's, well, special, okay? It's just special. Okay, so some of these viruses have an additional layer to them outside of that capsule layer, and that's called an envelope. You know, like you put a letter in an envelope. Well, this is kind of the same kind of thing. So now these corona microbes, you know, are like flying all over the air, and, you know, at least this one is, and, you know, and they're on surfaces too. But, you know, the coronavirus is aerialized, you know, and that's where it is. That's why we wear masks and stuff. But I mean, they have a dizzying array of functions and health effects, these things. I'm telling you, it's different for different people. I mean, they're trying to figure it out still. And I mean, whoa. I mean, but the structure of the virus is basically pretty simple. It looks like that. It's pretty simple. It looks like the app on my phone. Okay, so each one of these things, each one of these little balls of virus has either DNA, I got to take a breath. DNA, no, I'm serious. This is a deal. I'm not going to go on too long, but I'm with
you. We're with you.
Okay. Just, I need a breath too. I mean, I've been in the dumpster all night. You got to remember. Okay, so, so each one of these has DNA or RNA genetic material in it. And that genetic stuff is encapsulated in a protein packet. I know the scientists call it a capsid or something like that, but, you know, that's another show. But now this protein packet, like I said, can have that additional layer or the envelope. And last week, you remember we talked about PERC, right? And that's the Patient Education Resource Center. And you can go in and read about all this stuff that I'm talking about. I love going in there. And as you know, I know everything in the world. You know, no, not. But what I'm telling you is just my firsthand experience at the VA and trying to figure this stuff out, you know, and trying to leave something in the library that explains exactly what this stuff is. Okay, so here's the reason that we wear a mask, social distance, and wash our hands, okay? So outside of a living cell, this virus, outside of an actual living cell in our bodies, this virus is just a dormant particle. It's sleeping. And why is it sleeping? Because it lacks the raw materials for reproduction, okay? Viruses are like hijackers, okay? And only when it gets in there to the host cell does it actually go into action, hijacking the cells like metabolic machinery, and it starts producing copies of itself. I mean, it's just cranking out copies as fast as it can. And now we can do one of two things, right? We can avoid that virus altogether, or we can kill that sucker. I mean, kill that virus dead, you know? And that's interferons, and that's another show too. But we can send in, and this is what you and I did when we got vaccinated, right? We can send in mRNA, or that messenger RNA, into the cell with a message telling it to stop that shit. I mean, stop it right now, you know? And it's like football. You know, Nicholas, how much you love football, right? Well, you know how they actually run interference and they're blocking and carrying on and whatever. That's what we want to do with these protein spikes. We want to block them from being able to get in there and do their thing, you know, and start replicating. I'm almost done. Just this much more. I'm telling you, seriously. And after all of that, I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to ask me if we can actually kill a virus. Can a virus actually die? And the answer is no. And the reason is because it was never alive in the first place. A virus can't thrive independently, and that is why it's a hijacker. A hijacker. It needs a genetic host. Okay? That's why masks are important. Even after we've been vaccinated, we need to still continue to wear masks, socially distance, and jump in those dumpsters if that's what it takes to stay the heck away from people. Okay? So 5 characteristics of a virus are, number 1, masks, attachment, right? Penetration into a cell, uncoating of that protein packet or envelope, taking it out of the envelope, and now it's going to do its thing, replication and assembly. Okay? It's serious. Okay. Do I understand how? Okay. So I'm going back to the questions from the email. All right. So, I think I understand that up to that point. I don't know how I can without being a scientist, but I'm trying my level best to understand that process so that I can stay away from it. You know what I mean? So here's a quote. Many of the antibody tests that we use only test for capsule antibodies. Remember, we just described what a capsule is. So this test only tests for antibodies in the capsule. Okay. Now, if I'm getting this right, the test is only good for testing people who have actually had the coronavirus. And here's another part of the quote. That test might come back negative if someone got the virus but didn't have the disease itself. Oh my God.
So you're saying that people who had the virus are different from people who didn't have the virus and who were vaccinated?
That's correct. They're two different groups entirely. So yes, and that's how I read this email. And I love it. I love this email because I just read it and I went, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to really, truly, and it wasn't written in doctor language. It was written simply, line by line. But for gosh sakes, this whole process is, it's very complex. I have a lot more respect for the medical staff after going through this, I have to tell you. And so it says that it would be positive, the test would be positive if it was exposed to the real virus and not just to the vaccine. So vaccinated people will not benefit from this test, really. It depends on the timing of it too, I imagine, but like I wanted to run out and get it right away. Give me an antibody test, VA, please, and that's just not what I need to be asking them. So so here's further quote. We use the antibody test for the spike protein as a confirmation test and not the primary test, for that you've got the bug. It's all about this encapsulated thing and whatever else. I mean, seriously, I know there's probably a better explanation to what I just said, but give me a break. So in addition, the moral to the story is to know exactly what you're asking for, before you ask for it, because I would have been in there thinking that the VA was just telling me no for no good reason, and that's not it at all. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. I'm done.
That's great information.
I tried.
Well, thank you. I learned something. So you're saying, Gayle, be informed, know why and what you're asking for before just randomly asking for any antibody test.
Yeah.
Right. And you're also saying that, people get a positive test and then a negative test. It's not because the medical community is giving a crappy test.
No, it's not.
The spike protein status, which makes sense. So
yeah. So the vaccine status matters. Wearing a mask matters even after you get vaccinated. So keep that mask on. That's right. Keep that mask on. And here's the final quote. The person also said, thank you to you and Nicholas for what you do to get the messages out about VA care. I thought that.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought so too. Tequila.
I don't do tequila, but coffee.